You ever look at yourself in the mirror and say, damn, I'm such a fucking loser. What are you doing with your life? You're a YouTuber with barely any clout. You don't know what to do with your life. And everybody around you is more successful than you. Just fucking die already! Welcome back, my fellow nerds, with your stupid big forehead jokes. And I'm back with another vid about me just talking about nothing. Just wasting your time, bye! Nah, I'm just bullshitting. You clicked this video because of the title. The anime that makes you feel like a loser. But there's a lot of anime and manga that makes you feel that way. Like, for example, Neon Genesis Evangelion or Oyasumi Punpun. But there's this one anime that I don't see anybody really talk about, which is called Welcome to the NHK. And don't worry, the people that haven't watched the anime yet, I don't plan on spoiling any important plot points of the story. So yeah, you're in the clear. I just wanted to talk about my feelings about this anime and the topics that it deals with. Stuff like mental health, societal issues, and being a young adult. For me, this anime captures the feeling of loneliness so accurately. You don't believe me? Look at Ludwig's tweet about it. He's popular, so go listen to him, you fucking shit. Welcome to the NHK is about Sato, who is a university dropout entering his 4th year of being unemployed. He leads a reclusive life as being a hikikomori, ultimately coming to the conclusion that this happened due to some sort of conspiracy by some organization called the NHK, until one day, just when he was sure that his life is never going to change for the better, he meets a girl named Zaki, who claims that she's able to cure him from his hikikomori lifestyle. Now you're probably saying to yourself, this just sounds like your typical uplifting slice of life story. Welcome to the NHK is brutal. It has such a bleak outlook on life. When watching the show, you get this sinking feeling that nothing really matters. I mean, of course, it's about a hikikomori trying to better himself, but every time Sato fails from curing himself, he just goes into a darker place, and he becomes more and more depressed, and gets this feeling of loneliness. And then, the episode ends with him just being hopeless. This show just gives you such a raw and real feeling, and it makes sense because the author was a hikikomori himself. That's why he's able to capture the feeling of being a hikikomori and being lonely so accurate, because he lived through this himself. That's why the show has some really dark and sad and depressing moments for our characters. And it's not just him as well, there are also other characters dealing with similar struggles as well. Some of the characters are trying to chase their dreams just to prove their parents wrong. Another character is in crippling debt or having self-deletion tendency, and some are more broken than others. Welcome to the NHK embodies the feeling of loneliness and failure. When I watched this show for the first time, it was during the peak of quarantine. I was all cooped up in my bedroom all alone, feeling like the walls are closing in on me and I can't do anything about it. And the fact that I haven't seen my friends in the past couple of months just made that feeling even stronger. That was a real low point in my life. And the fact that I was watching Welcome to the NHK at that time, watching Sato being all alone in his room as well, I couldn't help but recognize how Welcome to the NHK captured that feeling so accurately. And then hearing one of the most depressing soundtracks in anime that I've heard, Hitori Bocchi, playing in the background, is just thinking these dark and depressing thoughts. It just really hits home for me. After finishing this anime, I couldn't help but rewatch some of my favorite moments of the show and listen to some of my favorite soundtracks as well. But then eventually, I started coming back for the comments too. And the comments are really fucking depressing. Like, there's no way to get around it. This comment section is so depressing. Being 22 in a similar situation, this anime hit me really hard. I feel like my life is over and I'm trapped. Like I missed some chance years ago to make things better. Will things ever change? Will I stop feeling so alone? And then another comment is just some 20-year-old guy talking about how much he relates to Sato, who's also losing hope. And then somebody decided to check up on him 7 years later, ask how is he now? And he just replies with saying love doesn't exist. So yeah, this comment section is brutal. But then I started to read more comments. I started seeing how much this anime really helped people with their lives. A lot of comments are like over 5 years old, talking about how they used to be a hikikomori and how their lives changed for the better because of this anime. One of the first comments that I showed you guys prior, somebody did a checkup on him and now he's in a stable career path with friends. And he replied with saying everything is going to be okay, we're gonna get through this together. Seeing stuff like that really hits home for me. And it made me realize that I completely forgot about the main message of Welcome to the NHK. Of course, you're gonna have some lows in your life. Sometimes you're gonna think there's no coming back from this. Sometimes you're just gonna lose hope. And yeah, after watching this anime, you will feel like a loser. Hell, the author himself was a former hikikomori and changed his life for the better. And after quarantine was finally over, I got a new job, was able to see my friends again. I had this realization that, yeah, sometimes life is gonna hit really hard for you. Sometimes you're gonna reach an all-time low. But eventually, everything will be okay. And after watching the final episode of Welcome to the NHK again, I came back with a new message from that ending. That it's okay to be optimistic.